You need a block or a roll for the start of class, and ideally so that you can either prop yourself up, either sitting on it or sitting with it like wedged against you so that you can be upright. If you have spent a lot of time today sitting, then maybe kneeling is your preferred position. So maybe you want to be in a kneeling position. You can also choose a bit of a back brace position, either using your fingertips behind you to help lift your chest up, because they're not going to be seated for a huge length of time. Or you can work with your hands behind you and use that to help support your back. So I'm going to choose something that will get you so that you are upright and comfortable. I was checking my sound is definitely still on, so we are good. Close your eyes and switch on deep breathing. So if this is the start of your practice for the week, or maybe you've been away from it for a wee while and are coming back to it, take the time just now to get really steady. So if there are little physical movements that need to happen, like lifting up the sit bones or adjusting your back posture or your neck position, do those just now so that those physical things are out of the way. And then you can move into a different state of attention. Start to deepen your breath so you're getting the ribs and the abdomen moving. And bringing in an ujjayi whisper quality sound. If you're newer to that, engage your throat muscles the same way that you would when whispering, so you get that audible component. That whisper sound will help you track the intensity level of what you're doing. Obviously, with this beginner's class, play sensibly, play in a curious way with your limits. And my intent usually as practice at the start of the week is to set the bar quite low and to treat this as an exploration. Maybe as a way for you to itemize anything that you need to work on or would be good to work on in the week ahead. So treating this more like a systems check than a performance review, if that makes sense. Change the cross in your legs. So if you need to, you can always use one hand behind you. Take the left hand up and then bend the index and middle finger of the left hand in. So this gives you the facility to use your thumb and your ring finger as a pincer. You're going to be using this for alternate nostril breathing. You will be inhaling through the right side for 8, holding the breath for 8, exhaling left for 8, inhale, hold, exhale. So we get a few rounds of that going. So right hand is behind you, exhale through the mouth until you're empty. Inhale through the right side for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold the breath, closing the nostrils for a count of 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale through the left side for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale through left for 8, lifting the ribcage up. Hold the breath. As you hold the breath for 8, relax your throat, your shoulders, and your abdomen. Exhale through the right side for 8. Belly is pulling in towards spine, also lifting up the tissue between sit bones, a contracting pelvic floor. So that constitutes one round, doing one more round. If you're blocked on either side, simply do it without the hand. Inhale through right side for 8. Hold your breath. As you hold your breath, notice if you've got this sort of rise of tension in your throat. Can you relax that and relax the chest and abdomen? And then exhaling for a count of 8. So that's half of that round. Then you'll be inhaling left. If you are finished or you finished early, return to a steady ujjayi breath, simply paying attention to the different sensations that come up during that, but also using the pranayama to really arrive, to get steady, to get calm. Bring the soles of your feet together into Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees wide. The distance between your feet and your pelvis is really down to you, so preference presides. Sometimes if hips are tighter, feet further away and a more opened out angle in the hip can feel better. Just see what feels appropriate for just now. Bring the right arm up so right elbow is in line with shoulders. So this is called unlocking the shoulders. We're doing each stage. If you have dislocating arms, when it comes to pulling on the arm, simply omit that part. See what you can generate through muscular control. So it's about that rather than about pulling and pulling too much. Bring the right elbow up so the right elbow is in line with your right shoulder. Inhale, lift the rib cage up. Exhale, draw your right shoulder blade back, right shoulder blade down away from your ears. Inhale, reach the right elbow forwards in space. Left thumb comes into the underarm and then grab a hold of all the tissue so you feel your fingertips are at your shoulder blade. Exhale, draw that shoulder blade down so you feel the muscles starting to fire up. So this is the sort of dislocating part. If you're so left hand holds the right upper arm. If you've got dislocating shoulders or they feel real unstable, then omit this part. Exhale, pull the elbow forwards or reach the elbow forwards. Take your left hand to the inside of the elbow. So you're not grabbing the forearm, your palm is sitting to the inside of the right elbow bones. Deep breath in. Exhale, push your elbow into your hand into your elbow, feeling the chest muscles fire up, the underarm muscles fire up. Maintain this. Straighten the forearm up. Exhale, right shoulder blade back, shoulder blade down. Inhale, reach the right arm forwards. Exhale, push elbow into hand and hand into elbow. Inhale to relax the arm down. So it should feel almost completely exhausting for the shoulder. Now, if Baddha Konasana feels like it is maximum level for your hips, feel free to stick with this or switch back to cross-legged. If you want to move this a little bit more into a hip position that is very sympathetic to the side bend that we're going into next, then bring the left leg over the right into knee pile or half knee pile. So for knee pile, the soles of the feet are pointing back, left leg on top, or half knee pile, right leg is straight forwards. If you tighten your hamstrings and this is pulling you under because this leg is straight, then maybe cross-legged or Baddha Konasana would be a better shout. For now, take the left hand out to the left. So if you've got shoulder things going on, side bend is about, bending your side and creating an opening through this other side. So arm up, yes, will facilitate that. But if this is the shoulder that's really giving you jib, are the ribs any less lifted when the hand is resting on the opposite shoulder? No. So I can still create a side bend without necessarily getting into something that may aggravate an existing issue. So if that sounds like you, then feel free to work the side bend that way. Inhale, bring the right arm up, have your palm facing straight ahead for now. Exhale, wrap right shoulder blade towards the underarm, so feeling the same musculature in the underarm firing up, and then flatten your left palm. Inhale, lift the rib cage up away from the ground. Exhale, reach out through that right side and relax left ear towards left shoulder. Take care that the action with your left shoulder is a very gentle drawing down of your left shoulder blade rather than yanking it back or even yanking it really down. So instead of thinking, is the shoulder up? The shoulder is not up, but it's also not being pulled down. So it's just not up. Stage 2, exhale, reach your right hand to the right and take the hand so it is lower than your right shoulder. Reach with it actively. Inhale, lift up through your low front ribs. Exhale, release left ear towards left shoulder. Maybe you're using your hand behind you to provide a different level of support. So that's the left hand, but make sure you're not twisting the rib cage. So if you feel like you start to pivot off to the side because of that arm, maybe it's less not as far back. Moving with your neck relaxed, inhale to reach with that right arm. Use your left hand on the side of your head and then lift your head up. Now, whether you are in Baddha Konasana or whether you're in knee pile, use your fingertips behind you. Inhale, lift your chest up. Anchor your sit bones down. Exhale, lean forwards over the legs. So we're still in this. All right, so if you've already changed legs or something like that, come back into this first side. So especially if you're in knee pile, you're only really going to go so far because your leg is kind of there. So don't get too worried about how far you go. If you're in Baddha Konasana, keep those hands behind. Use them as an action of pressing forwards. More flexible day, especially if you're in knee pile, you might find hands in front is useful because you can actually push your butt back down whilst telescoping your ribs forward. So it feels a little counterintuitive. Pushing with the hands to put your butt down, but still lifting the rib cage. All right, inhale, bring yourself up from there. Come back into Baddha Konasana. That might be a slightly different angle than what you did the first side, so feel free to do that. I like to think of poses like fruits and vegetables, like was I with romaine lettuce? Well, now I'm going to move towards like a wee iceberg lettuce. Ooh, feels different. Bring the left elbow forward, although nowhere as exciting. Deep breath in. Exhale, draw your left shoulder blade back, shoulder blade down. Inhale, reach the left elbow forward. I'm going to show this side on if this is a newer creature for you. The right thumb is coming in towards the underarm to grab a hold of all that tissue around your shoulder blade. Exhale, draw that left shoulder blade back, shoulder blade down, so you feel the muscle tissue engaging. Preserve that, take a hold of the arm unless this is logisticating arm. Exhale, draw the elbow forwards away from the shoulder, feeling a sense of space in the shoulder, and notice if the major movement was your head falling forwards or your chin tucking down. Lift your head up. Right palm comes to the inside of that left elbow. Deep breath in. Exhale, push your elbow into your hand and your hand into your elbow, but aiming to preserve the space in the shoulder joint so the elbow is not crossing in from the line of your shoulder. Maintaining this level of pressure, exhale, draw your left shoulder blade back, shoulder blade down. Inhale, reach the elbow forward so you feel that movement rather than leaning into your ribs. Exhale, push your elbow into your hand and your hand into your elbow and truly straighten the forearm up, maybe even increasing the amount of rotation outwards. Inhale to relax the arm down, and you should feel like a sensation of like, oh my gosh. All right. Either stay with Baddha Konasana or do cross-legged, or knee pile, right leg is coming up and over the left this time. So I like this one for side bends because it's stopping this leg from coming up, so you affect a little bit more traction out in the hip. If you've done it the other way, it still speaks to the hip, it just means you need to work harder to make sure that your sit bone is down. So if you did the legs backwards, you're not going to explode, all right? You're not going to be like, oh my God, how will I ever recover? You'll be fine. Take the right hand out to the right. Inhale, bring the left arm up, palm faces forward. So at the minute, the shoulder blade is not quite wrapped. Exhale, spin the left elbow forwards via your shoulder blade. That is a wrapped shoulder. Flatten the right palm and lean to the right. If this is the shoulder, maybe you've got an aggravated shoulder, put the hand across onto your right collarbone and focus on lifting the left ribs up. So that might be a way that you do that. If the arm is coming in front of your face, then your head might be moving, but also the arm isn't quite in the right place. Take the arm up and then wrap the shoulders so the palm faces down. Almost thinking if your back was against the wall, the pelvis, the shoulders, your head, and your left thumb would be touching that same wall. Stage 2. Exhale, reach your left hand to the left and bring it down so it is lower than your left shoulder. Inhale to lift up through your low front ribs. Exhale, glide your shoulders down away from your ears and relax the neck. So again, that right shoulder is not up, but it's also not getting dragged down to the point that you feel like your back is spasming. It's simply released and lengthened. The left arm, though, is active. So I want you to imagine you're trying to hold a little super excited Jack Russell underneath your hand, and not somebody called Jack Russell, like an actual dog. All right, now moving with your neck relaxed. Remember, there's a forward bend after this. Inhale to reach with your left arm. Use the right hand on the side of your head and then lift your head up. Use your fingertips behind you. Knee pile people, you might need to stop that right foot from moving. Inhale, lift chest. Exhale, use your arms to press forwards. The same goes for Baddha Konasana people. Arms are pressing you forwards to avoid a rounding in the back looking instead for length, and that might be more straight up. More flexible day, still able to work a pretty straight spine, pressing with the hands. More flexible day, you might be taking the hands forwards. If you're in Baddha Konasana, pull with them. Knee bow people, I find that I end up on the muscles of my legs and not on my butt. Push back with your hands, but scoop the chest forwards. So it's less floppy and more active. All right, inhale, bring yourself up from there. If you were doing the poses previously with your back against the wall, be away from the wall. Flex your feet and then take the feet apart. So you want to be slightly wider than your shoulders, at least kind of out about 45 degrees each side from the midline. Take your hands behind you. Now, how far behind you is really down to your hips and your lower back. I want you to feel like if you were sitting up, you'd be sitting straight up. So it's a straight line. Some of you may be able to manage being further up. If that means, however, that you're on your sacrum and you're rounded, I don't think it's worth it. I want you to be able to be in a flexed hip where you still feel pretty upright. So aiming in this part to kind of tidy up what's happening in the hips. Take a deep breath in. Lift the chest. Exhale, turn your left knee inwards without moving your foot. So you're not just randomly turning your foot, your aim is to turn the left knee in, so it's in line with your hip. Inhale, bring the knee back up. Exhale, turn the left knee in, left sit bone stays down. Inhale, bring it up. And it may not move much. Exhale, turn the left knee in. So this is a movement range which for most people is pretty non-existent. Inhale, bring the knee up. Exhale, rotate the knee in. Inhale, lift it up. All right, the right side. Right knee is pointing up. Exhale, rotate that right leg inwards. Be honest, has your sit bone lifted? Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, rotate the right thigh in. Inhale, lift. 2 more of those. Exhale, rotate the leg in. If it's pinching, lean back a bit more. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, rotate in. And be very honest, like if you feel a difference from side to side. Inhale, bring the knees up. All right, now pause. So inward rotation is an odd one. We don't have a huge amount of representation mentally in the muscles that we use for those. But outwards, we're usually a bit better at. Exhale, rotate that left knee out. Make sure your pelvis is still down. See what happens. Make sure it's not a drop. Inhale, lift the leg up. Exhale, rotate that left knee out to the side. So we use these movements more. Inhale, bring the knee up. Exhale, rotate out to the side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotate. So make sure your feet are super active. It's going to stop you from kind of bending around your ankles and getting into your knees. So right side, deep breath in. Exhale, rotate the right leg out to the right. Inhale, bring that back up. Be honest if the pelvis is level. Exhale, rotate right leg to the right. Inhale, bring it up. 2 more. Exhale, rotate right knee out to the right. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotate the right knee to the right. Inhale, up. All right, now rotate both out to the right. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, bring it back. Okay. Send your legs forwards, give them a little bit of a rollout, especially if you're not used to those. So abdominal wise, we want to think about these rotations. So the first one that we're going to do is twisted root. So that's when the thighs are crossed. Whether this foot can go underneath this leg or not is pretty irrelevant. But what I do want to see is you recruiting your muscles that you can send the foot towards the other leg. So you're actively and deliberately rotating the legs. If your hips need some support, you can do this with one of your feet resting against the wall, and this will help you keep your pelvis down and your lower back down so you're not over curling through the lower spine. So that might be a good strategy. You need your roll or your block as well as we move into a second abdominal, which is sort of squeezing the inner thighs towards each other. And we'll be alternating abs of the roll today with the legs slightly turned out and very slightly turned in. It will actually be a lot less than that. So it's kind of like 15 degrees either direction, not much. Again, if you need back support for that, you're going to use back support for that. I didn't tell you to grab a strap, okay, and that's not because I forgot. In the next pose after that, you're coming into knee pile on the back. Some of you might need something to help you get a hold of the foot in the next thing. It could be a sock, it could be, I don't know, a lasso that you had hanging about. but you might not need it. I'm going to show you the pose first. So for this version of knee pile, the thighs start crossed and they come in towards the chest. The hands are going towards the outside of the legs, and then instead of thinking about knees coming in, pressing the legs away, making a straight line with the shins, and then pulling outwards. If you know that your hips happen to not be your own, for example, you've had a hip replacement, then don't pull too much for obvious reasons. Okay, come on down, grab your roll or your block, and we'll come down for twisted root abdominals. If you're using the wall, so like I'm using the edge of this couch, it would be the ball of the foot of the right leg on there and left leg crosses over that. So come on down. Interlace your fingers behind your head and then lift your head and shoulders up so you can see your legs. Cross the left thigh over the right. Left foot is moving towards the right. Perhaps the right leg goes up and over that. But I still want you to feel that you're bringing the inner thighs in towards each other. Stack the right knee above your pelvis, so your left knee is above your abdomen, and then lift your head and shoulders up. Now, two different actions here. Press down through your lower back, and then stop that. Now press down through your pelvis, but not your lower back. So you want to think, okay, pelvis can push down. Can you still tuck tailbone up without pressing your lower back flat? Hopefully yes. If not, it's something we can work with. Take a deep breath in, press pelvis down. Exhale, curl your tailbone up, pull your belly down. Inhale, relax the tuck in tailbone, shoulders stay up. Exhale, curl tailbone up, squeeze thighs, pull belly down. Inhale, relax the tuck in tailbone. Exhale, curl tailbone up, squeeze thighs, reach kneecaps up, pull belly down. Inhale, relax the curl and tailbone, shoulders are up. Exhale, curl tailbone up, squeeze thighs, reach knees up, roll the thighs inwards, pull belly down. Inhale, head down, release the legs. Cross your right thigh over the left. So you might need to move the calf muscle out of the way. Perhaps you're staying in this sort of partial pose where you're squeezing the right foot towards your left shin. Maybe you can get the left leg to come down over the right. So a few different factors working there. Get the right knee so it's above the pelvis, left knee so it is more above, left knee so it's above your pelvis, right knee above your abdomen. Inhale, lift head and shoulders up, press your pelvis down. Exhale, curl tailbone up, pull belly down. Inhale, relax your pelvis, shoulders are up. Exhale, curl tailbone up, squeeze the thighs, pull belly down. Inhale, relax pelvis, shoulder blades up. Exhale, curl tailbone up, squeeze thighs, reach kneecaps upwards, pull belly down. Inhale, relax the curl and pelvis, press pelvis down. Exhale, curl tailbone up, squeeze sit bones, squeeze thighs, reach knees up, turn knees inwards, pull belly down. Inhale, head down, unravel your legs, and then set your feet down. Okay, so strong work on those hips. Moving into abdominals with the roll or the block. Put the roll or the block to your inner thighs. Re-interlace your fingers behind the head and neck, and then send the legs straight up. If your hamstrings feel tight, work this with your legs bent. Maybe you're putting the feet onto a wall to better support your back. If you're doing legs bent, just be aware that these rotations will require your feet to move in and very slightly out. They're not much. If your legs are straight, it is more your knees that you're working with that orientation. Elbows in, head down. Take a deep breath in. Hold your breath. Curl tailbone up, squeeze the block. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up, underarms lift, belly down. Inhale, lay your head down. Hold your breath in. Curl tailbone up, pause. Turn the thighs very slightly outwards. Squeeze the block. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. I'm using the word block synonymous with roll for now. Pull belly down. Inhale, lay your head down. Hold your breath. Curl tailbone up, pause. Roll the thigh bones inwards. Squeeze the block. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. Pull belly down. Inhale, lay head down. Hold your breath. Curl tailbone up. roll the thighs out, squeeze the block. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. Curl tailbone a second time, belly down. Inhale, head down. Hold your breath, curl tailbone up, roll the thighs in, squeeze block. Exhale, lift head and shoulders up. Curl tailbone a second time, belly down. Inhale, head down, then feet down. Remove the block from where you are. So moving into knee pile on the back. Cross your left thigh over your right. Use your arms and bring the knees in close towards your chest. So starting with them there. Right hand grabs left ankle. Left hand grabs right ankle. Or using a strap to hold that foot, or a towel or a sweater or anything that you can use. Now at the minute your feet are probably pointing towards the front of your mat. Get the feet moving so they point towards the left and right side of your mat, so the feet are moving away. Press the feet out against your hands, pull your hands against the feet, but also pull the feet away from the midline. So you're pulling outwards as if your legs were a Christmas cracker. The left side of your pelvis will probably try and slide up towards your left ribs. Lengthen left side low back. Press your pelvis down. Do your breathing in a way that exaggerates the swell of the abdomen to feel a pressure change in your lower back. Inhale, relax the legs. Change the cross in the legs. So right thigh hooks over left. Feeling fancy, you can always basic instinct cross the legs, big massive sweep. Bring the knees in, left hand holds the right foot, right hand holds the left foot. And then move the shins so they are almost parallel to one another. Pull outwards on the feet. So in this position, right side of pelvis is probably scrunching up. Slide the right side of pelvis towards the front of the mat. Press pelvis down. And then begin to move the shins into a straight line. Pull outwards on the legs and press your feet outwards. So it's very active. So the aim is to generate a lot of different sensation around your hips. Now exaggerate your breathing so the abdomen moves a lot. Take another deep breath. Exhale, relax your legs, and then set your feet down. Grab your block, put it back to your inner thighs for bridge. Set the heels, so the heels are underneath your knees. You can always check this by looking down the side of yourself. If you can see your heels, you're in a good place for your hips. Draw the shoulders down away from your ears, palms face up. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, press into your feet, curl tailbone up, squeeze the block, and then lift pelvis. Inhale, lift the space at your breastbone towards your chin. So you're not pulling your chin in, aiming that the neck is relaxed. If you're tighter around your shoulders, go ahead and drape your arms overhead and see if that gives you a better rest position for your shoulders and back. Sometimes I have to actively try to relax those muscles between the shoulder blades in order to get the neck to soften fully. So thinking about how we have been moving so far, we've done a lot of stuff with the hips, we've been moving into side bend territory, chest territory. Explore your connection to deep breathing here. So what is moving now? What is newer? All right, take another deep breath. Exhale, lower down through your shoulders, mid back, low back, and then set pelvis down. Remove the roll or the block. Roll onto your left hand side, and then use your arms to bring yourself up from the ground towards a seated position. And hopefully seated will feel a little bit different now that we've been doing a myriad of things for your hips. So we're not quite done with abdominals. I want you to really feel for the back stabilization in this next piece. Those of you that are on the more flexible end of the spectrum, there is a tendency to really use the flexible areas of the back to compensate for perhaps maybe not a strength or awareness factor in the hips and the leg muscles. So in this next piece, we will be working from all fours. What I do see happen a lot is when people do the action of leg lift, after it gets about here, the lift is actually because the butt has moved. All right, so the leg in relation to the pelvis has not changed position. I'm more interested in the back being pretty firm and lifting because you're using your buttock muscles. It's very switched on. Now the same goes for the next piece. So the next piece is flexing the hip, exhaling to bring this down. For today, bringing that knee closer to the other arm. So this is where it gets easier if you allow your back to move. I want you to explore how much can you flex your hip without rounding your back at all. The same goes for abduction, lifting the leg out to the side. This is genuinely as high as I can lift my leg. I can lift it a lot higher if I move my pelvis. So ideally, pelvis is level. I want you to imagine that you have made me a gorgeous ice cream sundae, and for some reason, it is balanced precariously on your butt. And it better not move because I have a hankering for ice cream. Okay, come on to all fours. P.S. Like if we ever see each other again, if you want to get to my heart, ice cream. So here we go. Lift up between your shoulder blades, look forwards and then tuck your chin. Draw your abdomen away from the ground and try to stick your butt out a little bit. So you're thinking the back isn't completely straight, there's still a lumbar curve. Inhale, lift your right leg up. Be honest if you are allowing your lower back to move and lift the heel so you feel the right hamstrings are working and the buttock muscles are working. Now have a look at it. Is the shin bone straight up and down? I recommend flexing your foot so that you're on your best behavior in that lower leg. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bring the knee downwards under your hip and squeeze the knee towards your right arm without moving your lower back. Inhale, open the right knee out to the right. Exhale, reach the right knee back so the sole of the foot points up. So it's squeezing inwards and rotating. Make sure it gets back to straight up. It's worth checking. All right, now lift your abdomen away from the floor. So that was like a very digital square boxy movement. I want you to make this really nice and smooth. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring the knee in towards your chest. Start opening it out to the side. Inhale, reach the leg back towards the back of the room. All right, now pause, reversing that action. Deep breath in. Exhale, open the right knee out to the right. Squeeze it towards your right arm so it's down under the hip. Inhale, lift the leg back up. Exhale, rotate out to the right, squeeze the knee towards your right arm. Inhale, lift. All right, set that down. So it's challenging. It's very, very focused work. If it's your wrists that are giving you the aggravation here, you can do this down on the elbows or even down on only the right elbow. So most of the weight is there and you still have the space to do all of the physical actions with that left leg. So as an alternative, inhale, lift the left leg. So second side usually gets a bit of a shoddy deal. Have a look at that leg, straighten it up, lift it without rounding your lower back. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring the knee down and in towards your left arm. Inhale, open the left leg out to the left. Exhale, reach the leg straight back and up, checking if it is straight up and down. So especially if maybe you think it's there, but it's not there. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring the knee downwards. Obviously, if you're on your right elbow, the angles will be different. Inhale, open the left knee out to the left. Exhale, reach the leg back so the heel goes straight up. Now, doing this in a smoother action. Exhale, knee is coming down and then opening out to the side, so a little bit more circular. Inhaling to lift the leg up and back. Exhale, bring the knee down, so you're contracting. Inhaling to open out to the side and go back to the start. Now it's reverse. Deep breath in. Exhale, open the right knee out to the right, squeezing the knee towards the arm. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotate the right knee out to the side, bringing the knee towards the arm. Inhale, lift. All right, set the knees down. Bring yourself so you're seated a little bit more upright. If kneeling doesn't work for you, do cross-legged. Bring your elbows up. Elbows in line with your shoulders, hands active. Lift your head. Deep breath in. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades back, shoulder blades down. Inhale, reach the elbows forwards. Exhale, squeeze the elbows in, forearms are parallel. Inhale, relax your arms. So that is the basis for the weight-bearing action in the shoulders. If you are newer to Dolphin, I recommend hands clasped. The same goes, and this is a useful prerequisite to work for this pose. If, once you've taken the weight up, your arms slide inwards, go for hands clasped. You're still creating the suggestion of rotation. It just takes a while to develop the strength and awareness in these muscles to be able to sustain your body weight with forearms parallel. Okay, come down. Once you're down on your elbows, grab your upper arms to measure the shoulder distance or the elbow distance. Either clasp your hands or set your forearms so they are parallel to one another. Tuck the chin a little to help lengthen the back of your neck. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades back, shoulder blades down. Inhale, lift up the space between your shoulder blades. Exhale, squeeze chest muscles, tuck your toes, lift your knees up, and step the feet mat distance apart for today. Legs can be as bent as they need to be to help you shift the chest back. If today feels like a really shoulder growly day, do turbo puppy, which is knees under hips, elbows are bent just like we did in unlocking the shoulders, and squeezing the elbows towards each other to flex the chest muscles. So that might feel like a better option. All right, inhale, set your knees down. Sit up from there. Be in a standing on the knees position and step your left foot forward. So looking for very 90-degree angles. I am on 2 yoga mats here. If you know that you like extra padding under your right knee, go ahead and do it. You're going to be on that knee for a wee bit. Now, positioning wise, I'm a real stickler for positioning. I'm a real stickler. See when people are like, I bought a yoga mat and it tells me where my feet need to be. That's wonderful that you're allowing a random machine that has not measured you to tell you where things should go. So with this, I want you to think that your feet and your knees should be hip distance apart. So in general, left heel, if you drew a line back, ideally it's in line with your left sit bone. If it isn't, maybe your hips are swinging over to the side. Your right knee is going straight back, right shin straight back, so that when you draw a line forwards from your right knee, it isn't in the same line as your left foot. It should be between 20 to 30 centimeters. Take one hand towards your sacrum, one hand towards your pubic bone. Pelvis and shoulders are facing forwards. Exhale, tuck your tailbone down. So you should feel front of the pelvis lifting, back of the pelvis coming down, and then press down into your feet. So imagine you were going to leap into the air, a very heroic pose. Instead, just stay on the ground. So tailbone is tucking down, buttock muscles are definitely working, same as they did in bridge. Take the hands onto your left leg. Inhale, lift chest. Exhale, take a brief dip in towards lunge. Inhale, bring the hips back up. So maintain this action of tuck tailbone. Exhale, lower into your hips. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. So we're kind of teasing the front of the leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Last one like that. Press into those feet. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. This time, exhale, lower, and stay. Now an extra piece here. So we've got the feet pressing down, the tailbone tucking down. Squeeze the inner thighs towards each other, so that inward action we were doing with the block. And then the extra piece is flexing the hip. So your right leg, without moving it, squeeze it towards the front of the mat and see if that gives you a change in sensation in the front of the leg. Inhale, bring your right arm only up and take it behind your head. So I've got my right hand on the nape of my neck. Exhale, side bend to the left. So I'm taking the right elbow up and over, arcing the right ribs to the right as I squeeze the right hip forwards. So using this to create that tissue stretch through the right ribs. So either left hand or maybe your depth means it's the left forearm on your left leg. The deeper you're breathing, the more you will start to get into this right side low belly area. All right, inhale, come up from there for a sec. Okay, now, your left foot is going to go on something. It might be a block, it might be a roll, it might be the cat, whatever it is, it's going to be slightly elevated. Maybe you just so happen to have like your 1990s Spice Girls platform wedges right there. Take your hands to the inside of the leg. Lower your hips towards that front heel. You might find you need to move the right knee back a little bit. So just simply feeling for the hips lowering down. So again, changing the vantage point for the hips. With your hands, squeeze them towards your back leg to help you create a cobra sensation in the chest. If you can't, because your left arm is over the outside of your left leg, take the hands to the inside. It'll make it much easier for you to get that grip on the floor. So this is very much part one. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, back your hips up. Get the right knee under your pelvis. So obviously everybody's poses have changed. With your right knee under your pelvis, I want you to exaggerate the sticking out of your butt. So you should feel, instead of tailbone tucked down, do the opposite, stick your butt out. You should hopefully get some sensation in the back of that left leg. Sometimes it feels like your pelvis swings to the right to avoid this. Line up your left sit bone with your left heel. Now stick your butt out. So just think about that. Left sit bone, left heel. So some of your left sit bone is in line with your left hand. Then take the hands forwards and start to bend the elbows. So it feels very predatory. Maybe your elbows are coming down. Maybe they are really not. But aim that there's a bit of a forward pulling in the chest. So this pose, just FYI, if you're thinking like, this is ghastly, this is like dead bug, like half dead bug, but you're facing forwards. I guess the bit everybody likes, the lying down bit, is missing. All right, inhale, come up. So that's a pretty fiery hamstring stretch. Pull that leg back, discard the block or the roll or the cat for now, and then bring the right leg forwards. So I'm a big fan of getting all these things cleared out on a Monday, so that Tuesday, we go into Tuesday's high kick. Like you knock yourself out with your own high kick. Square your hips forwards. That right hip is moving to the right, so you feel like it's in line with the right sit bone. Left leg goes straight back. Remember, second side gets a bum deal. So have you sort of gone, oh, I did it on the first side, and now the back leg is squint. Straighten it out. Take the hands towards pelvis. If you are new to tuck tailbone, hold the bottom of your bottom and do the action tuck tailbone down until you feel that tissue respond. Those of you that are more flexible in your hips, which fellas, hey, it can sometimes be you fellas, you might have swung your pelvis to the left and your right knee will currently be at a 25-degree angle. Get your right knee in front of your right hip. All right, hands come onto that front leg. Deep breath in. Exhale, tailbone tucks down, press into the feet. Take a first gentle dip. Inhale, ease the hips up. Exhale, glide the hips downwards. It's really smooth but very active. Inhale, lift. Exhale, ease downwards. Inhale, lift. Two more like that. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And this time, you're going to lower and stay for a little bit. Inhale, bring the left arm up. Take that hand onto the nape of the neck. Exhale, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other and take the side bend over to the right. So you're thinking left ribs, you're not twisting, so if your collarbones are facing to the side, keep them facing forwards and lean this to the side. The additional fragment is squeezing your left thigh towards the front of the mat. So it should feel like your buttocks are in overdrive. If that's a thing that's to do with cars, then I don't know what my statement actually meant. I I am a glorified pedestrian that walks quickly. All right, inhale, come up. Grab a hold of that block. Block is going under your foot, or your foot is going onto the block. Now obviously, like, I don't know about you, I get made fun of by my other half for having really short arms. There is not a hope in hell of my hand going on the floor with my arm to the outside of that block. Take it to the inside. Lower your hips down first. You're thinking right knee is above the heel. Level the pelvis. So it's very easy to topple the left hip down and call this flexible. Level your hips, scoop your chest forwards and renew the tuck tailbone down action. So it's the engagement. Now if you've combined that with a flexion, scoop your chest forwards like cobra. So I'm a big fan of this. If you know that your posture feels very forward folding, let it actually open into back bends and poses where you know you tend to do the opposite. Right, now stage 2. So this is like a head to ankle variation. Bring your pelvis above that left knee. I like to work with everything pretty much at 90 degrees. It feels like there's less to think about if everything's tidy. Draw your right sit bone so it's in line with your right knee rather than swung off to the left. And then stick your butt out. So when you stick your butt out, it should help you feel like you've lengthened through your lower back. Press down into your right foot and you should get sensation through the underside of that right leg. Maybe starting to come down onto the elbows. If you're taking any elbow down, have it be the right one that is going down. If you keep your left arm straight, it creates a very interesting twist for your mid-back. So left arm is straight, right foot is down, send the right elbow down, and see what that does for your mid-back. Curious wee critter. And if you're telling yourself it's impossible, it's terrible, it's deadly, it is basically still just dead bug. Just viewed from a different angle. All right, inhale, bring yourself up and then swipe that leg back. Okay, so yeah, leg-tastic. For your next pose, play sensibly. While we don't necessarily use this pose massively in Forrest Yoga, it is still a pose. It's just as difficult to sequence in. This is the Yogi squat. In Yogi squat, you've done all the pieces. In your lunges, your feet were pointing forwards. That's what I'm looking for in Yogi squat. None of this like foot turned out jazz. So what I see a lot when I see people do this turned out Yogi squat is the first place to buckle is the insides of the ankles, and then it starts to make me feel physically sick. So what I'm looking for is feet parallel, and you're finding that butt stick out position because your legs have certainly made this angle so far. And then perhaps it goes a little bit lower, then maybe lower, then maybe lower. But there are a few different factors. There's quadricep length, there's hamstring length, there's the mobility of your lower back. There's also the flexibility at the back of your ankles. So if your heels have to lift for you to find this, and that's the only limiting factor, then it's your Achilles. It's good information. Okay, start from standing. Feet are about hip distance apart. So enough that you bend your knees, you think, oh, they're going vaguely forwards. Pitch forwards and stick your butt out. Get this side on this one. Bring your elbows onto your legs. It looks like I pooped a plant. All right, then start to lower your hips down so thighs might be more parallel. Scoop your chest forwards. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Hips might be screaming. Maybe you start to lower the hips down. So at the minute, my knees are going wider, but my feet aren't moving. And you might be here. You might be thinking, I need a wee seat. And you can put a wee block under there. You can also do this with your butt against the wall and kind of have a sliding down effect. That can be pretty useful. So pose-wise, this is dead bug, but we're just not lying down. If you're in it, but you feel really rounded, scoop your chest up. So I want you to think like you're a very curious, but very switched on and very alert chimp. So not like this, not like going around like stealing stuff. Noble. So think BBC Planet Earth, not Channel 5 nature documentary. Right? We want to go like high caliber. All right, sit down. So if the definition of an asana, a pose, is a comfortable and steady place, Now, there might be a few pieces of that that we need to work on for that to become steady. Instead of seeing it as discouragement, see it as encouragement. You have a very clear shopping list. Maybe it was your quadriceps, maybe it was your hamstrings, maybe it was your calves and your Achilles, maybe it was your lower back, maybe it was all of it. Either way, the guidance is clear. You don't need like a message from a choir of angels to tell you what needs to move for it to free up. Where are you going next? It's the same pose, but lying down, so it's dead bug. If your flexibility makes it challenging for you to get the shin bones going perpendicular to the floor, work one leg at a time. It will be easier and there'll be less pressure going through the system. So you only have to deal with one leg and its tension rather than the combined force of both pulling the pelvis into a rounded position. So lay down onto your back. So I'm a big fan, when I do most of my hamstring stretches, a lot of the stretches for my legs, I do a lot of it on my laying down so that I'm not overly rounding my back. When I'm laying down, I can really feel, has my pelvis lifted up? Am I on my spine? Or can I keep my pelvis down on my spine level? So I encourage you, if you're starting to practice more at home or you have a warm-up sequence, do a lot of it lying down. Okay, so knees start above hips. Open the knees and then flex your hips. Squeeze your knees towards your armpits yourself rather than just pulling them in. Hands grab a hold of the feet and get the shins so they're going upright. Press your pelvis down towards the mat and tuck your chin to help lengthen the back of your neck. So if you feel now that you've done the action, press pelvis down and tuck chin, that your neck is whipping back, put something under your head. So it might be a folded up blanket or something like that. If you're using the block and you've got a really chunky block, just be aware it can make you be in a difficult place where it's challenging to strengthen and lengthen the neck. Inhale, press your feet up into your hands, pull your hands into your feet. Relax your shoulders down and tuck the chin. So just like you were working posturally in the yogi squat, pelvis is pressing down, skull is pressing down. So you feel the muscles either side of your spine having to work. Perhaps you're working on straightening one leg out a little bit, maybe the other, maybe both. So you can play with the tension in the back. If you are doing that, instead of sending the leg upwards, think about the thigh staying in the same position and working the leg straighter. So that's a slightly different strategy to just arbitrarily straightening the leg. Okay, set your feet down. Take the feet so they're wider than your hips, let the knees come in so you get that inward rotation. Brace your hands on your thighs and push. You'll probably feel that your lower back has come off of the mat, so you're creating a little back bend traction. It is Shavasana time, final relaxation pose. You might take this leg configuration for Shavasana, but with the arms relaxed. Maybe you're laying flat on the back or with your legs up. I like, after a hip opening, to do Shavasana laying down on the abdomen so that any excessive rounding that might have happened in the back can dispel somewhat and soften, and I'm able to work a pranayama, like a breath exercise, to get different parts of the rib cage and the back muscles that maybe haven't moved much in the day. I get them moving during Shavasana. So if you wish to, you're welcome to lay down on your belly and take that Shavasana option. Otherwise, lay down and know that at the end of Shavasana, I will bring you up rather than leave you high and dry. Gradually deepen your breath. Breathe in a way that brings back that gentle expansion around your chest and your abdomen. Take a deep breath and notice the openness and space you've been bringing into your hips and your lower back. Take another deep breath to notice the strength and awareness you've been bringing into your hips and your legs. Take another deep breath and acknowledge any areas that have spoken to you about their needs for the week ahead. Take some movement into your fingers and toes. Now, wherever you are, movement-wise, whether you're face down or laying on your back, take the next 3 breaths to find a gentle and relaxed way to come towards seated. So aiming to preserve this Shavasana restful state even as you're getting up. So it's not like a heave to come up. And once you're seated, choose a sensible seated position. That might mean sitting on a block so you're not putting stress on your hips. It might be that you're exploring with cross-legged options. Choose something that allows you to effortlessly lift up through your low spine. Bring your hands together at chest. So especially as we enter out into this week, take the time to know that as you have practiced, so have others. At times where you took a breath in, somebody else did at the exact same time. And that together we moved. So at times of separation, this can actually be a wonderful act of connection. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bow forwards. Namaste.